Howdy again, everybody. This is Doc with Thoroughfan, and I am out enjoying what is finally some of the nicer weather coming forward. It looks like winter may finally be leaving us, and spring is starting to show its face around the corner. And a lot more positive things are happening. Birds are coming back out. We're starting to see all those positive signs of spring, and racing has seen a lot of positive change in the last couple of weeks as well, with the FTC approving all of the regulations that were put forth by the HISA Standing Committee on Racetrack Safety that will allow all of these regulations now to go into effect on July 1st. And basically what this means, as everybody who's probably read about it knows, is that starting on July 1st of this year, all of these tracks are going to have to either be in the process of getting to these accreditation standards or be basically there because they are NTRA safety accredited, which a lot of the initial guidelines are based on. So just remember that it really just focuses only on the racetrack safety and jockey safety, track maintenance things like that. Has nothing to do with the drug testing, out of competition testing, list of permitted substances versus not permitted substances. That aspect of things is all up in the air since USADA announced a while ago that they could not reach an agreement with HISA to go ahead and run this program. Nobody really knows what's happening on that end of the spectrum because HISA really has not said much about it, and most of the information we were actually getting about the process was not coming from HISA, but it was coming from USADA, the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency. So nobody really knows what's going on with that. Hopefully there is some movement going on with that because obviously a lot of these things are going to have to be enacted fairly quickly, and so those regulations are still yet to be listed, and no organization so far, to my knowledge, or I think anybody's knowledge, has really come forward to say we can run this program. So that's going to be something to watch going forward. As far as the racetrack safety initiatives and the regulations that were finally approved by the FTC, they focus on a lot of main areas that is going to provide a lot of really good uniformity to all of the tracks across the country, and that was something obviously that has been missing because unless you were a track that was NTRA safety accredited, your standards were kind of all over the place, and a lot of track standards were all over the place. So this is going to require now all of these tracks to basically meet one set standards that is going to be national, as I said, across the board. Now, if a track already has good standing with the NTRA Safety and Accreditation Alliance, basically they're kind of going to be given kind of like a provisional accreditation, which means that they're basically accredited under the HISA rules. There may be a couple of things that they have to improve just to meet the uniform standard definitions that are out there, but for the most part, they're doing things fairly well. Now, tracks that are not NTRA safety accredited, they are going to be put on what's called a one-year probationary status, which basically means that they are going to have a year to work towards getting those accreditation standards, and that probationary period can be extended another year, another 2 years, so long as those tracks are showing that they are making good faith efforts and they're working to put the pieces in place to reach that level of accreditation. And of course, now what happens if they don't show those efforts or they don't meet certain standards? In theory, the way the law is written, they should lose their license to operate as a racetrack under the HISA rules anyway. Whether it will go that far in these cases, nobody really knows. This was brought up at the Racing Symposium back in December, and the HISA board really didn't have an answer for things like that and the committee didn't. Like, will you revoke these licenses or do stuff? They kind of said they would if it absolutely came to that, but they really didn't definitively say it. So we're hoping that the penalties for not reaching these, standards are, going to be have some teeth to them, I guess, basically, so that tracks realize they do have to come into compliance with this. And really, as I said, it's all about uniformity. The big things, having uniform testing on track surfaces, uniform reporting of data received on track surfaces, uniform medical records, proper medical records transferring from owner to owner in a claiming process. Making sure that all of these tracks have what we call a voided claim rule. Not every track does, which is kind of surprising in this day and age. But one of the big things that has really gone a long way towards helping prevent a lot of injuries, and especially catastrophic injuries in horses, has been this voided claim rule that has shown up in a lot of different jurisdictions now. there's going to be proper fatality record keeping and more research done into all of these areas that hopefully will guide either further regulations or at least give trainers and veterinarians more knowledge as to what is leading to some of these injuries and hopefully ways to prevent them. I mean, obviously that's the big thing that's out there. And of course, you know, they are adding other things in as far as just general safety parameters around the tracks. What's really nice to see too for the jockeys is there's going to be a mandatory concussion or head trauma protocol that is going to have to be followed by all tracks, which definitely will help ensure the safety and well-being of the jockeys as well. So those are some of kind of the highlights. We will look at Thoroughfan, maybe diving into each of these areas a little bit in more detail in future segments. But one thing I also found kind of interesting when I saw this come out was the national HBPA kind of came out with a statement in this, which I found a little interesting. And they said that, the FTC is just basically rubber stamping or just approving whatever the HISA board throws their way. And the national HBPA, we did not have a seat at the table to discuss any of these. I'm not sure if that's really true. Because if you think back, you look at when HISA first proposed a lot of these regulations, they actually put it out for public comment before it had to be put out for public comment with the FTC. And they asked for input, and they actually did make several revisions to things based on that input. So to say that the horsemen didn't have a chance to really have a say in this is a little surprising to me. You know, I understand their point from the other legal challenges of things, and as we've profiled on Thoroughfan, a couple of those legal challenges do have some good standing to them. So it's going to be interesting to see where this goes as far as just an overall constitutionality of HISA. But in regards to their one complaint about this, I really don't see how that's the case. To me, that's just kind of griping about the fact you weren't given a seat on the board or something like that, because they did have the opportunity to comment, and I'm sure they gave plenty of comment, and some of that comment, I'm sure, did lead to certain changes that were put into those regulations. So that's kind of where we stand with HISA right now, and especially with the approval from the FTC. So now it's going to be a big education blitz on the part of HISA and especially that standing committee to go around, educate these racetracks on what they're going to have to do to reach this accreditation, educate the racing commissions as well, I'm sure, and also hopefully put some sort of general price tag on what it's going to cost for each of these areas to be implemented, at least in a ballpark way. Obviously, every track's in different areas, so costs are going to be a little different, and it depends on how much a track is going to have to do to reach accreditation, if they've got to do a ton of stuff or if just a little things. But it's going to cost some money. It's definitely going to cost some time to get all of these things together, and hopefully it is just going to lead to much better things for the industry, for the sport, for the public perception of the fans. All of this is really kind of what is needed today in racing. So we're going to be following this pretty closely. If you have any specific questions about these particular regulations or anything else regarding HISA, feel free to drop them right down in the comments or send us a line at Thoroughfan. We will try to research them and get answers for you. And as I said, we are going to try to also see if we can locate some more information on what's going on the drug testing side of things. But I think that's going to be a little hard to find until another announcement is made. So until that time, I am, of course, Doc for Thoroughfan. And as always, if you are looking for the most up-to-date, accurate, and honest information for you, the racing fan, by us, the racing fan, there's only one place you need to turn, and that's right here at Thoroughfan.